Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing LEGO Marvel Superheroes set number 76294, the X-Mansion. It has 3,093 pieces, 10 really cool minifigures, and it retails for $330 US. This set released on November 1st of 2024, and it's a huge deal because this is by far the biggest LEGO X-Men set we have ever seen. And honestly, it's one of only like 5 LEGO X-Men sets ever. Right off the bat, I will tell you, I think it is an awesome set. It's so insane to see the X-Men finally brought to life in LEGO form to this scale, which is something we've all hoped for many years. But that being said, I do think it's the worst Marvel modular LEGO set, although it's in really good company. That does not mean it's a bad set at all. It just means that the other ones are even better. Before we get into the details, though, I do want to remind everyone that I am an employee of the LEGO Group. However, all opinions expressed in these videos are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the LEGO Group, and LEGO is a registered trademark of the LEGO Group of companies, which does not sponsor, authorize, or endorse this site. Starting off with the founder of the X-Men, we have Professor X, who is definitely the weakest minifigure in this set. He has a reused face print that's okay, but I mean, that's Lex Luthor's face. It doesn't look right for Professor X in my opinion. It's not kind enough, it's too severe. But I mean, the reused torso print is fine. At least I think it's reused. It looks good. I mean, he's always wearing a suit. I like the brick-built wheelchair quite a bit, or hover chair, I guess. I think that looks fantastic. But I really do wish a new face print had been created for him, especially because he was also in the Cerebro Gift with Purchase set. Next, we have Professor X's archenemy Magneto, who is looking totally awesome. He has the same torso print as the X-Jet set, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I really, really like his powers. His helmet is back, so that has to be a newly created mold. It looks exactly the same as the piece used in 2012 and 2017. Or was it 2018 that he was in the Mighty Micro set? But because he hasn't appeared in a really long time, I'm pretty sure that's like a newly created piece technically. I love his cape. I know that there's been a lot of talk of like the rubber capes. I really like them. I think that they look fantastic, way better than the single whole cloth capes. So I'm really happy with that cape being used on Magneto. He does have the angry face that you're seeing here and an alternate smiling face also returning from that X-Jet set. And then he also comes with a hairpiece, so that is a nice touch, and it is a shorter hairpiece than what we saw in the X-Jet. And as you can see, he does come with a little piece of metal and a little levitating stand. Next up is Wolverine, probably the most famous X-Man and also one of the more boring ones in my opinion. He's cool, but he's everywhere. And so I was really happy to see that in X-Men 97, he is just a supporting character. This minifigure is fine. It's also a repeat from the X-Jet set. He doesn't have any dual molded legs. The quality of the print could be better there, like the yellow color doesn't really match. His mask is cool. He has this face to use with the mask, and then he has an alternate face, and that goes with the included hairpiece, which is awesome, but I do miss the hairpiece used in 2012. Cyclops is reused from the X-Jet as well, and the color on his face print could be better as well. It doesn't really match the colors of the bricks. However, this guy has gotten an upgrade from the X-Jet set because he has leg printing, so I'm really happy to see that. I do think that this is a pretty good minifigure, and I like Cyclops a lot more after watching X-Men 97. He has a very slightly different alternate face with a little frown. And then what I think is a really cool part of this figure is the way that his powers are depicted. So he gets this, he gets this little assembly that you're supposed to put in his hand. And then he kind of just holds it up to his face to make it look like he's shooting one of his eye beams. That works perfectly. I feel like I also saw people complaining about this, and I don't know why, because this is the best way to represent his powers without making some kind of weird, bulky, specially molded headpiece. Next up, we have Jean Grey, one of my favorite X-Men characters. This is technically our second LEGO Jean Grey minifigure, but the only one that's ever come in a set. The last time we got her was as Phoenix, as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive minifigure. I think that this figure is cool. It's not my favorite outfit. I am more interested in like her Phoenix personas. But she has a reddish-orange hairpiece, which is brand new in this color. There's a quick look at her back printing and her smiling alternate face. Once again, the skin quality, it's not good. It's very washed out compared to how it's supposed to look and how it's presented on the box. So that's kind of a shame because I feel like we've seen better quality printing in other sets. I like her little shoulder pads. I wish she had some leg printing, but overall, it's a good first in-set Jean Grey minifigure. Rogue is reused from the X-Jet 2, so there are a bunch of reuses in this set, but I think that's totally understandable. It was important to get these characters in the first place, and I'm glad that they're included in this set too. I really love this minifigure. I love her torso print and her leg print, although once again, the color match could be better. I mean, I guess that is affecting most of these minifigures, and I really wish she had some side leg printing, because I do feel like it cuts off a little awkwardly, but she looks good for the most part. I really like the printing on her hairpiece, although a different style of hairpiece might work better because her hair doesn't really look like this in the show, and there's a quick look at her alternate face. Next up is Rogue's paramour, Gambit. I love this minifigure. He has this crazy like energy piece from Ninjago with some playing cards at the end. That is just awesome. It looks really, really great. It's a really great representation of his powers, and it's super dynamic. So I think that is really cool. I just wish the cards were printed because the minifigure can't really hold them. It could damage the sticker. So I think those parts should have been printed, but you know, I'm just going to display it like this, so I guess it's okay. He's holding his staff, and he does have torso printing and leg printing with all of the colors matching up, except his face print doesn't match up. So just to maybe like show on screen an example, the color of his face print is supposed to be the same color as Rogue's, and you can see he's like at least a couple shades lighter. So that is a pretty significant issue affecting these minifigures, but I still think the graphic design on them is great, and to get new characters like this that I honestly never thought we would see in LEGO minifigure form, I think that kind of makes up for the fact that they're not 100% perfect, and he does have this alternate face. Storm is probably my favorite X-Men character, although, I mean, maybe Jean Grey beats her out, but she's just incredible, and I really, really loved her in X-Men 97. I didn't think that there was enough of her, in fact. I think her torso print is reused from the CMF series, and it's a shame that her leg printing wasn't reused. So I will be doing a minifig mods video for these minifigures, because I have a couple small upgrades I want to make to them, including putting Rogue's CMF leg print on this minifigure. What's really interesting, though, is that she has a new skin color. This skin color, I think this is umber brown, was used on mini dolls at the start of the year, I want to say, but it's the first time it's appearing on a minifigure to my knowledge, and so she is a different skin color from her CMF figure, which came out in fall 2023. So I think that that's really interesting. She also has a different hairpiece and a different cape. This cape is pretty much the exact same cut that was used on her 2014 minifigure, so I should really be doing a minifigure comparison video at some point, but it's in white this time and lined with yellow, which just looks super deluxe, and I'm really glad that like the investment was made in a cape piece for this figure. Next up is Bishop, who's a character that I don't really care about because I don't know that much about him, and I guess I'm not that interested in him. But he was fine in X-Men 97, he was still cool, and I really like his torso and leg print. I think he has some of the strongest printing of any minifigures, especially because his face is amazing too. His eyes are like crackling with metallic energy similar to Storm's. He has this built-up gun and some energy coming out of his hand. He's reusing that newer hairpiece that was made for Mordo in the Doctor Strange 2 set. And then he also has an alternate face, and you can see that he's branded with the mutant M over his eyes. So that's a pretty nice attention to detail, and even just look at how detailed his back printing is. So I think he is a really good figure, even though I would have rather seen a character like Jubilee, which I know a lot of other people also would have liked to have seen. Our final minifigure is Iceman. This is not a design I've ever seen for him. I didn't watch the original show, and he wasn't in X-Men 97, but he is pretty detailed. He gets leg printing, so I do think a good number of minifigures in this set come with leg printing, which is something I feel like we're always missing in Marvel sets. I really like his little built-up ice crystals. The one thing I wish was better is his face. Like, the cheery expression is fine, but everyone else kind of has a fighting look, and he doesn't get that because he's bald, so there's no alternate face. But maybe a separate head could have been included, and I do think that this version of the design is supposed to pair up with Firestar from the Daily Bugle. But again, just like Bishop, this is a good minifigure, but I would have rather gotten Morph, because Morph was a main part of the team in X-Men 97, and they're nowhere to be found here. The only side build included in this set is one of the Sentinels, the robotic mutant killers, I guess, that target the X-Men. They're very popular X-Men characters. You know, they're an important feature of the franchise. We have gotten a Lego Sentinel before in the 2014 X-Jet set, But this one is a huge improvement. Right off the bat, I want to say that I love how rounded it is. I feel like it's really hard to achieve such like a rounded, cartoonish look using Lego bricks, because naturally most Lego bricks are very square. But between the shoulder pads, like the head and the dish topping off the head, but then really zeroing in on like the thighs and the feet, I think that this thing looks excellent. Like I really love just like the little use of pieces like this to round off the feet. I feel like it does look kind of awkward. Like I'm not good at posing Lego action figures, or I guess any action figures in general. I have a coworker who can create really dynamic poses, so I bring my buildable figures into the office and ask him to pose them on my desk, and he does a really good job with it. I wish I could ask him to pose my Sentinel for me, because I just kind of have him standing here awkwardly. But he does have a decent amount of articulation. There's no knees. Unfortunately, it is using that kind of 4+ style locked knee joint, but you can move the legs a decent amount. You can see the toe piece will break off sometimes. That's okay. I mean, it's not really meant for play. So it's got enough articulation. You have like the usual arm articulation, but like a pretty decent amount. And yeah, pieces do break off, because actually, yeah, this shoulder pad piece was breaking off earlier when I was posing it as well. That's something that would really bother me on like a $20 toy, but this is an 18+ set, so I think it's fine to be like a tiny bit more fragile. Really love the hands here. He's got a stud in there so he could kind of like grab a minifigure, or you can attach an accessory like this lasso thing over here. I mean, I call it a lasso because that's what it reminds me of, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like an actual named weapon from the show. But yeah, you can fit a minifigure in there, and you can kind of like tighten the lasso around them. So I think that that's a pretty interesting look, and it does allow for some dynamic posing, which, again, I'm very bad at. I'll try to do some at the end of the video. And then he does have a stickered kind of reactor, which looks really awesome, and a printed face. This can move around a little bit as well, but it can't, like, move that much. And then at the back, there's just an attachment point for more posing action. And I did want to quickly show off the Cerebro gift with purchase in this review as well. This was available if you bought only the expansion set in its first week of release, but I do think it's sold out pretty quickly. This version of Cerebro is based on the X-Men movies, so you can open the door and this section can rotate, which I think is a great touch. But obviously it's not meant to be displayed from around the back. I think it's really cool to get something like explicitly based on the X-Men movies. You do have that printed Cerebro brick down there. Another version of Professor X, who just, again, uses the same face and a reused torso. And then you also have this really cool printed tile with Jubilee's face on it. So a lot of Jubilee teases, and I really hope that this means we're going to see a minifigure of her very soon. The X-Mansion itself looks a lot like it does in the show, but granted, the version in the show is 3 stories tall, and this set is only 2 stories tall. It's significantly sized down, which is okay, but it is really small compared to the other Marvel modulars. I don't have my other Marvel modulars here with me, but you can tell in pictures that this is designed to just a completely different scale. So here's a minifigure in front of it. It's still like a good size building for sure, but it's extremely small next to all of the other modular buildings. That does kind of impact my feelings on the set, to be perfectly honest, because I think it's cool, but I kind of feel like the same way I did about the recent Burrow set, which I also filmed a review for, and that's that this feels like a play set that's masquerading as an adult size set. Like, it's definitely huge, it's got a lot of pieces, it's expensive, but it doesn't particularly feel like an adult building experience or a set that's really designed to cater to the adult audience. Like, to me, this is nothing like the Avengers Tower set, and I think Avengers Tower is maybe the best singular Marvel set we've ever gotten. But I also recently reviewed the brand new Milano set, and that was designed for 12+, I think, and it felt like a much more complex and detailed build than this 18+ set. And to be totally honest, a lot of that has to do with the simplicity of this facade. Like, look at how plain the building is. It's just like smooth bricks with some masonry bricks added in for some texture. I really like this exploded section of the build, but this is by far the most detail anywhere on the exterior of the build. You have that exploded section, and apart from that, the lawn is almost entirely bare. It's kind of confusing to me. Like, that's why I'm saying it's just not up to the standard of the other Marvel modular sets. I also really dislike seeing the underside of plates through the windows. That just seems like the kind of thing you shouldn't be seeing in an 18+ set. It looks especially bad down here by the exploded window. It's because the danger room is in there, and I think the danger room is the best part of the interior, but something like this is just not what I want to see in an 18 plus set. The roof is also built pretty simply with just like regular slope bricks. I do like the little like kind of curving decorations up there. That's a sticker. Really wish that was a print because I applied mine like just slightly off center and it was really bothering me. So I do wish a little bit more money had been invested in like really exclusive printed pieces other than the Sentinel face. Because at every step, decorations in this set that feels like they should be deluxe prints are instead stickers. That goes for the X-Men logo. It goes for the Xavier's school sign on the front lawn. It goes for Gambit's playing cards, and it also goes for a cool X-Men comic book that you're going to see in the interior. But on the topic of the lawn, this is also where it feels super empty. Like, yes, there's a couple of scattered leaves, but it's super symmetrical. Then you also have like kind of symmetrical rock piles in the corner over here and over here to disguise the modular connection points. You have two identical like topiaries or like bushes in the front. And it's a very, very plain front yard. I really dislike how empty it feels. It feels lifeless is, I guess, the best way to put the exterior of this mansion. And I know putting the minifigures in there will add some life, and so I do like the exploded window section. I like the exploded pavement section. That does add some life into it, but it's just strange how empty and barren everything is around that. And yeah, that Xavier school sign is pretty nice. Like I said, it is a sticker, but I believe that this sign for the school is also based on the movie design, but the rest of the mansion is based on X-Men 97. And so I will qualify my saying that the facade feels like under-detailed. Let's bear in mind that it's adapted from an animated show, and animation, especially like the kind of animation style that X-Men 97 is, it's far less detailed than something like the Sanctum Sanctorum is in a live-action Marvel movie. So that could explain why the mansion feels this way, but I still don't love that it feels this way. My favorite part of the entrance is definitely like the front portico, I guess I want to call it. There is a cool like mutant logo, or not logo, I mean reference, saying, motto, whatever the word is. It's kind of hard to see, so I'm gonna lift this whole thing up. I'm not even gonna try to read it because I can't really see the sticker properly, but yeah, that's nice. It's really set back in there, so kind of hard to see, but I like the double doors. And as you can see, this is actually built in 3 separate sections, so it's on 3 16 by 32 base plates. And so it does separate into 3 distinct sections with the middle and then the 2 wings, which is also kind of strange. In the instruction manual, it says that it was designed that way so multiple people could build it at once. It's another thing that makes it feel weaker and more basic and a little bit more childish than the other Marvel modular sets. I also really like the balcony over here. You have another set of double doors and you can kind of see Cerebro peeking through there from the interior. And then you have the roof, and you have the cupola. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's the round thing on top of the roof, you know? And this thing actually has an action feature built into it. If you press like a little plunger at the back, it'll just explode the cupola, and that's cool. It's a neat feature. It's pretty easy to put back together. It did break one of the bushes, and actually, I forgot to mention this on the lawn. You have little turrets that kind of pop out of the lawn, but they can't pop back in, so you're just left with a hole in the lawn, if you don't want to see that. This is the side of the mansion with the danger room, which also makes it look awkward because it's that orangey like color on the front. I think, is it dark orange that's used all over this set? I think it is. So it's that color on the front, but then it's gray along the sides, which also just makes it mishmash with the rest of the mansion. But like the Sanctum Sanctorum, you can actually pull out these sections of the danger room. They have like different weapons on them, and then you're able to swap them between floors. So I think that that is a pretty neat feature, and I like that like customizability. But I'm showing it to you now because I don't really want to customize it once we get inside. As we go around the back of the mansion, you'll also notice all of these Technic bricks with like the axle holes sticking out. That's so that you can position all of like the trans clear action posing pieces around the mansion. So I really love that. Honestly, like the look of it doesn't bother me. It might bother some people, but it's an old mansion. I'm okay with seeing some holes, especially when they're all hidden at the back. And we do have some nice detail at the back. So you have a basketball hoop and an electric box back here, along with a basketball and like an open cardboard box, which I believe is designer Justin Ramsden's signature for these sets. And the electric box actually has a little play feature because if you pull it out, this is how you access the danger room inside the mansion. So we'll take a look at how that appears from the inside. And then you have a little drain pipe going down from the roof, leading to a little puddle of water, which I think is great. That is actually the lever to explode the dome thing. I'm going to stop calling it the word I can't pronounce. And then you have this sticker that's a Days of Future Past reference to like mutants that are missing or like I think like contained or whatever. And then the back door has a reference to Pyro, who's like blown up the fire exit sign. And I love that you have a back door with like a little staircase out to the alleyway. That being said, it's super awkward that there's a little like city alleyway at the back of a mansion that's like sitting out in the suburbs of New York on its own grounds. Again, I understand why. It's so that it fits in with the existing Marvel modulars. But I guess as I'm going through this review, maybe the conclusion I'm arriving at is this shouldn't have fit in with the Marvel modulars. I'll think about it more as we go through the rest of this set, but honestly, we're only on the exterior, and I'm already feeling like maybe this set would have been more successful if it was just its own thing and not trying to connect to stuff like Avengers Tower. But moving on to the rest of the details at the back, I really like this sticker that has an ad for Nightcrawler being at a circus, and then Dazzler in concert, 2 more minifigures that I really hope we get soon. There's another sticker down here saying Claws, so that's a Wolverine reference, and then it says Pixie was here. Don't know who Pixie is. And this is another play feature that we'll take a look at inside. And then you have the classic Marvel Modular yellow dumpster with a Toad reference. And inside here you have a fedora, which I think might belong to Beast, but I'm not sure. There's a cutlass, don't know what that's about. You have a coin, which is a reference to Magneto's coin from X-Men First Class, and a piece of bubblegum referencing Jubilee. Here's what the mansion looks like split apart, which is honestly pretty difficult to do once it's all separated. I don't really love that it does this. I wish that it was just built in a regular modular style, and I'm going to put the pieces back together while we go through the interiors. The easiest way to access the interior is to just lift off the different modular sections, so of course, each section of the roof comes off pretty easily, and then the 2 floor levels separate as well, although I did not grab that roof section from the right spot. So we'll take a look at the ground level first and then make our way up to the second level. So looking at the build from the top down, you can see that we have the main entrance, which does have one of those elevators that are also found in the Daily Bugle and Avengers Tower sets. And this is like a super awkward angle to be doing this from, but I'm just going to try to pick this up and show you the details. There's a little bust in the corner with a white classic space helmet. There is an X-shaped rug in the floor, which is really cool, along with a couple of armchairs. There's a little bottle in the bottom right corner and then a plant in the bottom left. You can also see the back exit with the Pyro sticker in the top right corner. And then if I actually just spin this thing around, you can see a couple of pictures. So up on the wall here, we have a picture of Professor X and Magneto together in their younger days. And then on the left side, we have a picture of the full X-Men, the original X-Men team from the original X-Men animated series. There's also a stickered sign pointing to the classrooms and the danger room. The thing about the picture, though, is that it really should be in color. It's not black and white in the show, and so I don't understand why it wasn't printed in color for the sticker sheet. To access the classroom, you pass through this small hallway to the side, and there is just a little bookshelf on the other side. And again, it's kind of hard to show all of these details, but the bookshelf does have a Crayola recipe cookbook for Gambit, and a science cookbook on the top shelf for Beast. I actually love the classroom area. Even though it's tiny, you do have 2 desks with like or 2 chairs with like the built-in desks. There's a little travel advertisement for, it looks like Mount Fuji, so a reference to Wolverine's time in Japan. On this wall, you have Beast hanging upside down, remotely teaching the first class of the day. And there's this drawing board with some more X-Men references, including M-Day, which is a Scarlet Witch storyline. And then if you slide the AC unit on the outside, that reveals like a warning sticker about the Sentinels attacking. Meanwhile, on the other side of the classroom, you can just see a globe in the corner, and you can also see the balcony here, which does have a couple of studs to position minifigures. Looking at interiors top-down is not fun, so I've come back down to earth a little bit. This is the entrance to the danger room. It's got some caution striping done with brick-built tiles. There is a newspaper about mutants on the floor there, along with a red fire extinguisher on the wall. And then if you kind of look through the hallway, you can see, again, kind of movie-inspired, like the door that leads to Cerebro in the movies, but it's leading to the danger room in this set. And actually, now might be a good time to, like, disconnect the sections And here you can kind of see how hard they are. You can't really pull from the walls because the walls are pretty weak, but this gives you a better look at like the side-on view of the danger room entrance. And as I showed from the outside, if you just pull that electrical box, that slides it straight open. And so that looks really cool. I also love this sticker on the wall showing the news reporter from the Daily Bugle and Avengers Tower sets. And he's saying there are mutants everywhere, and he has 3 arms, so I guess he's a mutant as well. And once again, then opening that door, I love the view into the danger room. And you can see on this level, you've got like some missiles on the walls. You have spikes on the floor, fire coming out of the other walls. There's this like moving gun turret section. I really like the design of this room because I think it looks fantastic. It's just an amazing thing to see represented. And I definitely think it's the best area of the interior. And I love the steps down into like the sunken floor. That also differentiates it. And then on the other wall, you've got some rockets. And I believe all of these numbers are X-Men references of some kind. We're returning to the top-down view for the second floor because you really need it to understand how crazy the danger room interior is. So I'm going to zoom in on that, and then I'll just detach the second floor so we can get a better look at it. But the danger room, it covers the full 2 levels. So let me pick this thing up. Look at how deep that is. It is like a pretty spacious room considering the tiny size of this set, because you've got the 2 levels of like stuff coming out of the walls. There's a little viewing window over here. So I'm going to get this thing lower to the ground so that it's easier for me to film so we can take a look at some of the finer details. So continuing with the danger room, like I said, you've got that viewing area with like a transparent black windscreen, and it does have a sticker underneath saying danger room activated. On this wall back here, you've got some chainsaws coming out, which look really cool. On the opposite wall, or not the opposite wall, on the wall next to it, you have some laser beams, which I really like. And then I'll just detach this section so we can see the rest. Then you have a little security camera, I guess, so they can watch back their training sessions. And then some spikes and exposed studs all over the wall so that you can pose figures around, which I think is really cool. And then inside like this little hallway section leading to the danger room, you just have the other side of that viewing glass. You have some stickered control panels and then a chessboard because Professor X and Magneto play chess a lot in the movies. Moving on to the lab on level 2, you can see a sticker above the elevator saying exactly that. And I do think the elevator is a nice touch to maintain consistency with the other Marvel modulars. You have a little cabinet back here with some printed parts, and there is a little like opening cabinet thing that just has piled up like tape recorders. In the corner of this room, you've got another like sticker for Cerebro because there is a Cerebro machine included in here. That little bucket thing will fit on Professor X's head, and you've got the representation of Cerebro in sticker form. It's on the inside of a curved windshield, so that sticker is quite annoying to apply, but I do think it looks really good because that is how Professor X sees mutants all over the world. And that can actually just be swung to the side and then the doors opened to get access onto the balcony. So even though Cerebro doesn't get a dedicated room, I feel like it definitely fits in the lab. And then you just have like more drawers and like medical equipment over here. So there's a cookie in that drawer, I guess a treat for people getting stuff done. And then a syringe in this one. I really like the light aqua color flooring because that is my favorite Lego color. And then you have an MRI back here. And this is a reference to like a real Lego MRI set that is used exclusively in hospitals. And it's done in those exact same colors. And actually, if I flip up like the MRI bed, you can see one of Wolverine's x-rays on the floor there. That's a sticker and a really, really great detail. I quite like that sticker. Might be one of my favorite ones in the set. And then continuing down from the MRI, you get into Beast's lab. So let me try to lift that up. As you can see, it's really hard to get access to the interiors for a camera. Like, I think to look at, it's okay. It's just a little bit cramped, so I'm actually just going to separate out this section as well. But it just doesn't feel good. Like, you can see pieces pulling away from the walls as you do it. That's why this build feels like more of a childish build to me, because it doesn't really have the strength or expectations of an 18-plus build in several areas. And I'm actually just going to remove this part to see into Beast's lab. You've got like this nice table with an open drawer. That technique I think was first used in the 2012 Arkham Asylum set. Then you have like a stickered like mutant cure that he's investigating. There's some jars. There's a little microscope build. There's a spilled like coffee or hot chocolate cup. And then at the back, you have a little like bedroom area because people do live in the X Mansion. So you've got Wolverine's bed. There's a katana above his bed, and then that picture of Jean and Cyclops so that you can recreate the meme of him staring at them. Again, I wish that that was a printed part because then he could actually hold it in his hand. And the same goes for the X-Men comic on the floor. We got an Avengers comic like that in Avengers Tower, and it was again stickered. I feel like those parts should absolutely be printed. That would be so cool to get like a deluxe comic book print in every like direct to consumer Marvel set. There's also a bottle of alcohol on the floor of Wolverine's bed. There's a little dresser with a boombox, Statue of Liberty model. Again, a reference to the first X-Men movie. And then Jubilee's bubblegum packet. So I guess Jubilee is sharing the room with Wolverine. And then there's a sticker on this wall of him barbecuing, which I think is also a reference to something. And of course, Alkali Lake is marked. That's where Jean died in X2. And I almost forgot to talk about one of my favorite details in the entire set, which is this sticker in the classroom, where it shows that I'm guessing Wolverine has erased important information from a chalkboard to draw himself in the X-Jet set, having a ton of fun. I just love the graphic design on that sticker. It looks fantastic. Here are the extra pieces for the set. A pretty good selection. I think these pieces, like getting these as extras is new, because I've noticed that in a couple of sets in the last month. So that's interesting. And then you do have the empty sticker sheets. So as you can see, a ton of stickers. I am going to complain about how the stickers are still cut off center in a ton of Lego sets. I've seen it be much worse in some other sets, but like this is still pretty bad, especially like look at the circular ones. And I don't know why this is such a big problem. I've noticed it more and more since 2020. Before that, I didn't ever have a problem with like misaligned stickers except in one set in 2018. So I really wish that problem would be fixed because it can really affect the way a sticker looks on a piece. And then here are the extra battle damage stickers before I applied them to the main model. We've got a typical 18 plus style box here. At the top, you do have all of the characters, which looks really cool. And then the back shows off some of the interior details and play features. 3 instruction manuals for this set. I do like the image used on the front, and then we have the X-Men logo at the back. But I feel like it would have been cool to get 3 different cover designs since you're building 3 different sections of the mansion. And the first booklet does have some pretty cool information about like the X Mansion, so you can kind of see how it looks in the show. And this was really fun to read because, again, it's just like, who would have thought we would be getting a Lego set this X-Men focused even just like 5 years ago, you know, like this was totally impossible to dream of. So here's my final display with all of the minifigures set up and the battle damaged stickers applied. So I want to talk about those first. I applied the extra battle damage stickers all over the Sentinel. And I mean, I know it's a DIY thing, and I know that I'm a grown man and I can figure out where I want to put my extra stickers, but I was really disappointed that there are no official images of what the stickers look like on pieces, nor do the instructions show you where they could go. So yeah, it's fine that I had to figure out where to put them myself, but like it's hard to get a sense of how they're going to look on a piece, and you can't really peel them up and reapply them a bunch of times, and you only have like 8 different battle damage stickers to use. So I really wish that there was an official image like somewhere, anywhere, or really a page in the instructions that show you what this set would look like if you put those on. So as you can see, I added like all of the wiring pieces to the Sentinel. I like the gashes that I put on its stomach. I like the Wolverine claw mark I gave it on its arm. And then if I move this thing around to the side, you'll notice that I did add like some of the explosion pieces to the side of the X-Mansion where the explosion happened. And that's kind of what I'm missing. Like, I'd love to see more images of how like stickers would look on the mansion itself, because I do think it needs more detail. And that's why I added these stickers to this side. As for the rest of the display, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mostly followed the instructions. So down here we have Wolverine doing the Akira slide with his claw marks in the pavement. That looks amazing. I left this part of the pavement untouched, but I did build like a different style of stand for Bishop using a bunch of the extra pieces, because I gave one of his like curving poles to Rogue so that she could be up by Gambit. I really love how I have Gambit going over the Sentinel. That came straight out of the instructions, and it really like shows him off super well and lets his powers really shine in the empty space. So he just looks great hovering over that thing. I have it capturing Cyclops again straight out of the instructions. Professor X is on the balcony. I was also disappointed to find out that his hover chair does not fit on the balcony with the doors closed. The doors have to be open. So that also kind of sucks that the balcony isn't big enough to actually fit his chair unless the doors are open. I've got Jean Grey up there, so I like having the two telepaths together, and then I've got the couples kind of trying to help each other. So I've got Jean going for Scott, I've got Rogue going for Gambit, but then Rogue is also caught between Gambit and Magneto, much like she was in X-Men 97. So I've got Magneto at the top also from the instructions, Storm on the side from the instructions as well, but I think that that is a really good spot for her because like she's one of my favorite minifigures in the set. I really want to show her off in my display. And then lastly, we've got Iceman down on the pavement here. He really feels like the odd one out, and he's not really doing anything. He's kind of just shooting ice into the open air. But if I put him between the Sentinel's legs, then like you would be only seeing his back, and I really want to see the minifigure itself. Well, this probably ended up being a very long video, but there is a lot to talk about with this set. I threw in the Cerebro gift with purchase onto the side. And I do think it's a good set. It just doesn't fit with the Marvel modulars, in my opinion. Like, that's really how I feel after going through the whole review. There's a lot that I like about this set, but there's just so much that feels like it was compromised, so much that feels like it's disappointing compared to the other Marvel modulars. I don't think this needed to be part of that theme. I really dislike how the build is split into 3 sections. It did make it more interesting to actually build the set that way, but now that it's a complete piece, it's just bothering me because it's hard to move the set around as one piece, but it's also hard to separate it into sections because of the way the set is built. The walls just aren't super strong. And then even when it's all connected together, you have like these gross seams that go straight down the middle of the building. That's just not stuff you want to see in an 18 plus set. So it really does feel like an oversized playset, which is cool, but I don't think it should have been modular style then. Like, sure, it could have still been on base plates. It could have still had like the pins to connect. But for example, I don't think we needed to go like the whole alleyway route at the back. I think the gardens in front should have been much more detailed. I do feel like this should have been a full 3-story building because it looks shrunken down and it's at a completely different scale to the other Marvel modular buildings and regular modular buildings. Like the 2 full floors plus domed roof of this set, again, I don't have another modular to compare with me, but it feels like it would be 1.5 floors of a modular building. And that's just, it's a really awkward feeling. So I think that this is a good set. I think it's really cool. I'm glad we're getting the X-Men. I love the interior details. I really like the minifigures for the most part. Again, I wish those print quality issues were better, but it just doesn't feel like a $330 modular building to me. To me, this would have felt really worth the price if it came with a full mother floor. But as it stands, this honestly feels like a $250 set. And like I said, I don't think it needed to be in the same vein as like the Avengers Tower and the Sanctum Sanctorum and the Daily Bugle, because those are all city buildings and this is a suburban building. So let me know what you guys think about this set in the comments below. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.